what's going on YouTube? This is Default02 here, and I'm back again for another character build guide. This build guide is going to be on the Legionnaire. He is the tank of the game. No one can tank or pull aggro or pull threat away from other characters, as well as the Dwarven Legionnaire. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our abilities. I'm also going to be talking a little bit about gear, because that's actually pretty important on the Legionnaire. Alright, so my abilities here. I'm going to go ahead and start with my very first ability and my Y button, which is going to be Payback Strike. Payback Strike, in my opinion, is one of the best abilities to take with the Legionnaire, because whenever you take damage, it boosts the damage up to 400%. It's also an AoE. It'll hit anyone around you, knock them on the ground. That is one thing that does not say in the description, is that it also knocks enemies down. Now, right here, if you take the Sweet Revenge upgrade, whenever you hit enemies that are also taunted, you will stun them for 2 seconds. This works really well. You can actually set up combos with this, but one of the best things that I love about Payback Strike, and the reason why I use it so much, is because it will allow you to recover from any disabled condition. So that means if you get knocked down, if you are fighting the Demon Commander and he uses his Fear ability or causes terror, you can recover from it by using Payback Strike. It is one of the best abilities available to the warrior, in my opinion, especially when using a one-handed weapon and a shield. Alright, so moving on, I'm going to jump back to the Guardian tree and talk about the two abilities I'm using here. My first ability I'm using is Warcry. Warcry, it's pretty obvious why I would use this ability, because this is an AoE taunt. He's the only character in multiplayer that has this ability, and you get guard for every enemy that you taunt. Now the taunt duration, this is very important to remember, is only 4 seconds. So that means for 4 seconds the enemy is always going to attack you. But you have to be aware that if you are playing with other characters that have really high DPS, they can strip the enemies away from you. So you have to make sure that you coordinate with your party the best you can, which I know is kind of hard in random groups online, but you want to make sure that they know to take down the larger targets, or take out the archers first, or take out the mages first. That way you can have all the melee characters all focused on you while you go around and gather aggro or threat in this game. But this will give you a free 4 seconds that the enemies are going to hit you no matter what. And when you take the upgrade, it also gives you a 200% armor bonus, which is really huge for the warrior, or the Legionnaire, sorry. Alright, next up is Walking Fortress. Walking Fortress makes you completely immune to damage for 8 seconds. That is really powerful, especially in multiplayer. You can just walk around the field, you ain't going to get hurt by nothing. This also means that you cannot be disabled at all. So if you're fighting the Demon Commander, or if you're fighting enemies that knock you down, they cannot do anything to you for a full 8 seconds. Now when you take the upgrade, this is a really good upgrade. Every time that you make an attack, any attack that hits you, it reduces your cooldowns for all of your abilities by 1 second. All of your abilities is really good. That means you can almost have a constant Payback Strike. If you walk into an area and you have aggro on all the enemies, you can just constantly use Payback Strike as long as you have the stamina. Excuse me. Now, another added bonus is whenever you take a hit, you are also going to be gaining additional guard. Guard is really important on the Legionnaire, as you can probably already tell by playing the game for a while now. Guard gives you an extra bar of health. It is really important. Now I'm going to move on to my fourth ability. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about To the Death a little bit. So let me back up a little bit and just say, alright, as you can see, I have To the Death here, and over here in the Guardian tree, you get Shield Wall for free. Now, when you get to level 18 with this build, you will have 2 ability points that I can leave it up to you. I will leave it up to you where you want to put these 2 ability points. They can go into passives, like if you want to take Flow of Battle, or if you want to put a bonus on, on your Shield Wall, so on and so forth. But I took To the Death with the upgrade on Guard because I I have two sets or two builds that I use depending on my party. If I'm playing in a party that has no character that can put down a barrier, so pretty much if I'm playing without a keeper or if I'm playing without an elementalist, I will use shield wall. That way I can mitigate my damage that is incoming to my character a little bit more. I can block the damage from getting to me and gain armor. This is really important, especially when fighting bosses or fighting the really big enemies. Now, if I'm playing with a keeper who is actually pretty good with using barrier or an elementalist, I will use to the death. Now, we all know what shield wall does, but I'm going to talk about to the death a little bit because I don't really see anybody using it in multiplayer. To the death is really good ability. I love it in single player, and in multiplayer it's just as good. What happens is you throw out a taunt, just like with the ability challenge. As long as you stay within 15 meters, you'll see a little blue stream. It may be blue or red, I can't remember, because I'm thinking of your fallback plan with the rogue ability, but you'll see a stream of energy between you and that enemy. As long as you stay within 15 meters of that enemy, they will continuously, for every second, take 5% more damage, but their output of their damage is also going to go up by 5%. Now you may think, how is that really good? Well, if you use it on a really large enemy that has a large health pool, or if you use it on a boss, that'll help take down the boss quicker. Now, of course, you say, well, the boss is going to do more damage as well. Yes, that's true, but that's why you take on guard. Every time somebody hits that target that you have to the death on, you're going to gain 25% guard. That is really powerful for keeping your guard up. So as long as you're playing with a good keeper and elementalist, I would highly recommend using this because this gives you an additional taunt ability and also gives you an additional guard, and it gives you a little bit more damaging capability so that you can actually do more damage to an enemy. Now, some people may wonder why I didn't go down and take Unyielding and didn't take Counter-Strike. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you why real quick. Whenever you use Counter-Strike, it gives you full guard, and it taunts everyone pretty much in that area. That's a pretty good ability, and the taunt duration is actually 6 seconds. It lasts a little bit longer than Warcry. Now, one thing that you have to consider, though, is that it says that it automatically counters all melee attacks. Okay, it says all melee attacks. Now I've noticed, I think it also counters ranged attacks. I've noticed a little counter little avatar come out and knock over somebody with a bow. So it might be a little buggy there. But if you are in a sticky situation and you go out there and use Warcry or you use Counter-Strike and you have every enemy just hitting you for a ton of damage and you start losing your guard, you're going to want to use Walking Fortress, right? Well, if you use Walking Fortress, you're not going to get any of the benefits of Counter-Strike, meaning you're automatically countering enemy attacks. Because with counterattack, you have to actually get hit. You have to actually take damage for the counter to work. Whenever you use Walking Fortress, you're immune to all damage, so you're basically negating that ability completely. So it basically turns into Warcry, but without the 200% armor bonus, which, yes, I know it also counters, but look at that cooldown time as well, 60 seconds. You gotta wait a whole minute, and it costs 65 stamina, as opposed to just Warcry alone, that only costs 35 stamina, and it's only 24 seconds long, or 24-second cooldown. I just don't think it's worth it, in my opinion, to take that ability. So, like I said, I swap out between Shield Wall, which you do not need to take the upgrade. I think it's pointless because if anyone else is up there, they're probably just going to be killing people. Or, the other people in your party are going to be far away in the back. So I don't think it's worth it to take the upgrade. But I swap between Shield Wall and To the Death depending on my party. Now for your passives, I'll let you look for yourself at the ones in the middle. I'm not really going to explain these anymore because they're pretty self-explanatory. But one passive that you have to get when you go to the left or right of the main path is Bear Mauls the Wolf. You have to get this ability as a tank. This prevents you from getting flanked by enemies, and you are less likely to be staggered when hit from the front. So flank. When you flank an enemy or an enemy flanks you, they get a 25% damage bonus automatically. Now, the actual characters you can use. You can get upgrades to do more flanking damage bonuses to the enemy. I don't know if there's any enemies out there that have bonuses to their flanking damage, but enemies cannot flank you with this passive. It is really, really important and really, really powerful for the Legionnaire. Now over back in the Guardian tree, you're going to want to take Adamant, which gives you another armor bonus and Constitution. You're definitely going to want Turn the Bolt. Turn the Bolt, when I have all my armor bonuses going and I'm actually in the fight, I take 1 damage from archers. 1 damage, which you will see at the end in some gameplay. Only 1 damage from archers. That is huge because those archers are a pain in the ass when you're playing any other character. 90% of the time, that's the reason why a party wipes, is because you got 5 archers in the back just nailing you with arrows. Well, with this ability right here, I only take 1 damage from the archers. And hopefully you will too once you start making your build and you build up your character the way I have mine built up as well. Now when you go down here past Warcry, you're going to want to take Cutting Word so you give everybody that damage bonus. You're going to want Bulwark so that you can get maximum guard bonus, and then once again Trusted Steel so you have armor bonus as well. Now there's another untouchable defense over here. Like I said, if you don't want to take 2 to death, you can take Unbowed and go over here and take another maximum guard bonus. I don't think it's worth it because Unbowed, in my opinion, it's not worth it to take it as an ability. Yes, it also staggers enemies and it gives you really high guard, but you're already getting guard from Walking Fortress, you're already getting guard from Warcry, and if you use Shield Wall, you're getting guard there, and if you take To the Death with the upgrade, you're getting guard there. So you already got potentially 3 abilities giving you guard. I don't think Unbowed's worth it, and Payback Strike is too valuable as an ability not to take so that you can go ahead and pop right back up if you're knocked down or stunned or panicked or frozen or any of those debilitating effects that can happen to you in multiplayer. So that's the build. You'll see it at the end. Real quick, I'm going to talk about my inventory. So if you have a chance or if you get lucky enough to get some of these accessories that I get, these are really important to take with the Legionnaire. So I got a Superb Amulet, Constitution. Those of you that don't know, Constitution, every 1 point of Constitution over 10 gives you 1% maximum health. Now in multiplayer, you start out with 10 Constitution, so pretty much any extra Constitution you get is going to give you bonuses on top of your normal health, okay? So right now I'm getting a plus 10% to my maximum health. And it also gives you extra armor or melee defense. So now I'm going to go down my belt, plus 10% melee defense, so I can take less damage in hand-to-hand. I have a really good belt here, plus 200 maximum health, but once enemies get past my guard and start hitting my health, even if I have this on, I'm going to start panicking. So I got to try and keep my guard and barriers up if I'm playing with the Keeper Elementalist. And then my 2 rings, I got a Superb Ring of Life Drain on, and I also have an Enhanced Ring of Life Drain. I don't have any rings that boost damages or increases duration. I just haven't got lucky enough to get any. I don't even know if I would use them because these Life Drain rings, and they're just really good to get your health back whenever you kill an enemy. Now I'm going to go ahead and back up and look at my weapon. I have 2 weapons here. I actually flip-flop between 2 of them depending on my party as well. My Firm Tournament Axe here is just a straight-up DPS weapon, 280 DPS. But whenever I'm playing with a good party that has a lot of DPS already, I'll use Soul Kisser. It does a lot less DPS, but that's not what you're there for. You're not there to just go out there and kill stuff. You're there to take the hits so everyone else can kill stuff. And the biggest reason why I take this is because right there, on hit, you heal 1% of your maximum health. Now 1% is not a lot, but when I go look at my armor here, if you look on the right, you'll see that I have a plus 17 heal bonus. So that means I'm actually healing 18% on hit. And I also get plus 11 Constitution, and then my melee defense. This is a really good build for your armor. That's what I would recommend putting in if you ever get these armor upgrades. Alright guys, so hopefully you enjoyed the build guide. Hopefully I didn't go too fast for anybody. Please stay tuned for after this so you can watch some gameplay and you can see the Legionnaire in action. I'm also going to show some gameplay of me actually tanking the demon commander by myself, which is actually very easy. I'm going to put out a video eventually about how to tank him, because a lot of people are still having problems with that demon commander. Alright guys, so like I said, appreciate you watching the video. Please like and subscribe if you like the video, and I'll see you next time.